Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode 127, and today we will be discussing the transition from high school or college into the real world. Maybe we could call it Adulting 101 in some aspects, that's for sure. And we're looking forward to giving you some tips and tricks about how we have transitioned from university to the working world. I feel very British saying university and not college. Sorry, that's from working with a bunch of people who speak British English. What can I say? But anyways, looking forward to hearing what Jared's thoughts are, because I think Jared and I bring slightly different things to the table, as we do pretty much every episode. But today is a little different since I had a 4-year longer period in college and Jared went straight to the working world. So I'm looking forward to hearing his tips and to see what he has for us today. So without further ado, my good buddy Jared, what's going on, Jared?
That's right, kids. Learn from me how to be successful. Sounds like a terrible
Slipping
idea.
on gator piss.
Yeah. No, it's a real struggle. Maybe some of you have heard of the term quarter-life crisis. I'm not sure how much I believe in it, but I get it. I get it in a weird way. But before we get into that, please
Spread a little love.
follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. You can email us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. We have a website, untranslatablepodcast.com. There you can see episodes or untranslatables, or there's a link to our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast, where you can see the us in video, and you can also see the songs of the pod on the Song of the Pod playlist, or
Spread a little love.
Пожалуйста.
once I get this little soundboard worked out, you'll never have to hear me talk again. It'll just all be done through soundboard. So everyone,
Spread a little love.
Пожалуйста.
and follow us, with 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. We would very much appreciate that. Very, very much. Chad doesn't pay attention to these things, but I do, and I want to see more of them.
That's right. Boost Jared's self-esteem, everybody.
Yes.
Пожалуйста.
So what's new, buddy? What's been going on? It is Saturday morning in your neck of the woods, Saturday evening here in Jinan.
Yes.
How's life treating you?
Life's treating me pretty well. I'm going to a concert. I'm going to a concert tomorrow morning. Or tomorrow morning. You're throwing me off by you being in. We're going to do a concert this evening, not tomorrow morning.
What concert?
It's going to be the headliner is Tyler the Creator. He recently came out with a new album that me and my girlfriend have really been into. And then the openers, I'm not sure what the order is though. Is Goldlink. He also recently came out with a new album. He's a rapper, and me and my girlfriend have been very much enjoying that as well. So we're excited for him. And then also Jaden Smith.
Really interesting.
Who, I know nothing about his music, but it'll be interesting to see. I hope Jaden Smith is like the original, like the first opener. That's my only hope. But that's
Right.
nothing to do with nothing personal against him. Just because I don't know his music.
That's fair.
I
don't blame
know
you.
both of the other people's music, so I want them to have more time because I can sing along. But yeah, I don't know anything about Jaden Smith's music. But I'll let you know. That's for sure. Come back to episode
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
8.
You mean 128?
What did I say?
188?
Nah, I thought
am I
it
hearing
was 128. I think you
Oh,
are.
maybe I'm hearing things. It's past my bedtime here, Jared. What could I say?
How's China been treating you? And have you any more sort of epiphanies, or actually something I want to ask before we get into how China's been? Anything that
Okay.
you miss?
A couple things, yeah. I was grocery shopping the other day, and they have a giant baked goods section in my grocery store, and they had donuts. And so I freaked out. I was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to buy some donuts. So disappointing, buddy. The chocolate frosting was decent, but, dude, it was like they took these donuts and they just didn't realize how long they needed to fry them because they were, like, tough. Like, you could literally, like, rip them kind of like a piece of meat. Like, they were tough.
It's like donut jerky.
Right. And I guess the other obvious thing that I miss too is just regular internet connectivity. Like there's a lot of times where I'll be
yeah.
watching something and it'll just buffer or it won't work.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing that I miss. And it always seems to happen where I'm like calling and talking to friends. I was talking to my good buddy Shane a little while ago, and literally mid-sentence, it was just like he was like,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
it just froze.
You and I have definitely have had some of those experiences for sure.
Exactly. But, it comes with the territory. But in terms of epiphanies, so I was on Friday mornings, if I'm still in town and not giving a conference or a talk somewhere, I sit in on this really cool class called Introduction to Chinese Culture. And it's taught by a colleague of mine, and she's awesome. Her name is her English name is Ellen. And
Is it
she's great.
Chinese people?
Chinese students, yes, but it's in English. It's a part of the whole point of the course is for them to be able to compare Western cultures and Chinese cultures, doing it in English, because that is a part of being an English teacher. You have to be able to discuss culture and compare culture.
So
and stuff
they don't
like that.
teach you how to compare it. It's more of like a discussion-based class where you like talk about.
It's more of a
different aspects of
lecture-based
culture?
class.
Oh.
Lecture-based class, and
I feel like if you're talking about culture, you need to. It'd be good to get input from the kids that are the age of the.
I would agree 100%, but the problem is there have to be at least over 70 students in this class. It's in a huge lecture hall. So they do group discussions. The beauty of English, they do.
I'm so glad you called that out because I
right.
so wanted to.
I know, right? Oh man, English is such a messed up language in so many ways. But anyways,
Must be a better way to do that, right?
They do discuss together.
Yeah.
In groups, in small groups. But what I've noticed though too, after my first week of teaching being in the books, is that you really got to pull stuff out of them. They'll have a lively discussion together, but it's very difficult to get them to speak in front of the whole class. And some of that I think for me is because I'm a new teacher and they don't know me yet. And they're probably like, who the heck is this bearded Western guy telling me to, speak my mind in front of class? But it's interesting. And so we discussed the history of chopsticks. And I don't know if you know this, Jared, but chopsticks in Japan, Korea, and China are all different for different reasons. So
Okay.
Japanese chopsticks are wider at the base, and then they become thinner, and they have a pointed tip. And this is because it's easier to pick up smaller things, right? And it's
Okay.
also easier to pick up things like sushi and stuff like that. Korean chopsticks tend to be a bit more rounded, and they're usually made out of metal, because a lot of Korean dishes have a lot of different sauces and stuff. And if you use wood chopsticks, they'll always have kind of an ugly looking tip on them because they'd be colored from the
right.
sauces of stuff, right?
Interesting.
And Chinese chopsticks are usually a bit longer and tend to be a bit more squared. And they're longer because the Chinese tend to, they'll order a bunch of different dishes and share amongst each other. So you need the longer chopsticks so you can reach the food and bring it onto your plate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, little fun fact for
Wow.
you. Yeah, see, I'm
Brilliant.
learning. So yeah, and I am getting much better at using chopsticks. I had a meal with Ellen at the canteen after class, and we had a lovely discussion. And usually what would happen my first couple days here is I could use them for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and my hand would, you can feel your hand getting tired, and then I just use the spoon, right? I used the chopsticks for about 70% of my meal. Towards the very
Wow.
end, I was like, hands getting tired. I can't pick up I had like small pieces of pork and like green beans, and I just couldn't do it. So, but another interesting fact though, too, Jared, about chopsticks is there have been some studies done by a couple different universities that show, well, first of all, I think you use over 50 different muscles in your hand to coordinate chopsticks. So you really do have to build dexterity within your hands to use them.
So you really are working on muscles that you've probably never used before in your hand.
And it was funny. One of my students asked me because the first day I told them I'm a guitar player and stuff like that, and they said, "Oh, did that help you with chopsticks?" It's like, no, it's not even close to the same movements whatsoever. On this hand you're doing this, on this hand you're doing this. And you don't do either of these kind of inward movements really with chopsticks. It's more you have your your lower chopstick for stability, and then your other one for actually picking up the food. But the other funny thing is, Jared, historically, you and I would not have survived very long in China in terms of eating or reading or writing because we are both lefties. And
lefties
lefties
they don't let that happen.
Right. Well, now it's becoming better. I haven't seen a lefty student yet, but the funniest thing was when I was writing on the board on Thursday evening for my last class, I was writing something about this, and that's literally what they did.
El Diablo.
Right. Well, at first they shuddered, and then they started saying a bunch of stuff, and I literally turned around from the board, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a lefty. I get it. It's not normal." But thankfully, they could
don't
read my
say that
terrible
about
handwriting.
yourself, Chad. Don't say that about yourself. You're normal.
Right.
Yeah, and I probably it's probably because even just like their parents got it firmly. I don't want to say beat. I don't mean beat literally, but firmly got it beat out of them. And
Right.
so even though it's probably more acceptable now and they won't beat it out of you, it probably still is like a thing for older people to see. And
Oh,
that's
definitely.
not just a Chinese thing. I mean, that happened all around the world. Like,
Happened
people,
in the
you know.
States too.
Oh, yeah, you said that happened to your dad.
My dad, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
realized that my grandmother, my father, and I were all lefties. So do you have any other lefties in your family? Are your parents lefties?
Both my parents are right-handed,
Okay.
but my sister's left-handed, and
So both of you are lefties. That's crazy.
and my grandpa's left-handed on my dad's side too. I think
Okay. Maybe that's
yeah.
where you get it from. Cool.
there's a couple of us, yeah, but somehow both me and my sister are.
Right. Who knows, man? Who knows? But so yeah, but that was like the cool thing was learning about chopsticks, and then let's see, any other epiphanies? Not really yet. Now I've been kind of sheltered in a way because I always go to kind of places within walking distance to my apartment. Same thing with the
Yeah.
grocery store, restaurants. I did have KFC the other day. It was really good. I was wanting some Western food, so got some KFC. It was pretty good. Although they don't, this is what drives me crazy here, is their wings are considered like a side snack. So you can't get like if you want to get a bunch of them, you have to, it's kind of expensive. Like in terms of US, it's not that expensive, but they don't have like even in the Czech Republic, I would occasionally get KFC, and they would have, like, you could get like a bucket. You could get a bucket of like 10 of them or 15 of them or whatever. They don't do that here. Their buckets are of like different stuff. And so I got a bucket, and the bucket was all this random stuff. And I think I told you the last episode, Jared, I'm trying to be less picky and try new things while I've been here. You know, I think our last episode, I may have mentioned I had pig intestines at a Chinese restaurant.
Yes.
So that was interesting. Now here I decided, you know what, I'm going to see what this little box
I love
here
this.
has to, you know, what it is, right? So it looked like they were chicken nuggets, looked like popcorn chicken, and then it had two wings that didn't have like the crispy skin on them, just like kind of regular skin.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? And then
not
two
a fried
crispy
wing,
wings.
you mean?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And so
And then what was the last two? What was the last two things you said? The two what?
two fried wings, a
Oh,
drumstick
okay,
and a
okay.
wing. And so obviously the thing I like about KFC here in China is the fried wings they got a little bit of a kick to them. They did in the Czech Republic as well. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had KFC in the States, but I don't think I don't think it has any kick to it.
No
but
one.
the funny thing is,
KFC in the States is kind of a joke.
it really is, but it's
Like
huge
people
here.
say like it is. I know it's huge in a few Asian countries,
Japan as well.
but people say like here, why would you ever go to KFC because we have Popeyes or Chick-fil-A? People say is a lot better than KFC as well. So yeah, you just never hear people talk about KFC in the U.S., but I do know it's big in a lot of different countries.
Oh, for sure. So anyway, so I thought it was going to be popcorn chicken because it was like a little. I don't know if it was like giblets or like innards or what it was, but it was like squishy. It was like had a fried thing. It was squishing. It just smelled funky, so I didn't eat that part of my little bucket. I smelled
Okay.
it. I like took a little bite and I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's like squid. I have no idea. So I didn't have that. But the fried wings were fine. The non-fried wings were great. And then the nuggets, dude, they also had this really weird smell. And I bit into one, and they had a filling, and the filling looked like the same like consistency almost in color of cheese. But now after looking back at the menu, I can tell you it's not cheese. It's this really smelly fruit here called durian. Have you heard of durian?
I think I have, but I need to look.
It's like a spiky fruit, and it smells terrible. It smells like rotten meat. It smells horrible.
Oh,
And
I've
why in
definitely
the
seen it
world-
before.
Yeah, and why in the world you would fill a
Ugh,
chicken
it
nugget
looks
with this?
terrible.
Yep. And they have it all
It
over
looks like a
supermarkets and
giant
stuff here.
slug
Oh, it's nasty.
on the inside of it.
Right. Just see if you can Google KFC China durian chicken nugget. Maybe that'll pop up. But so that's what was
KFC
inside there. So I had two sections of this bucket that just were uneaten, and then another section was fries. So yeah.
How
so
are
that
their
was
fries?
interesting. Their fries are actually pretty good. They're cut, I think, a bit thinner. Did you find it? Doesn't that
It
look
kind of
nasty?
looks like cheese almost. It's like
It does,
oozing.
doesn't it? I thought it was cheese, so that's why at first I was like, "Oh, sweet," because it's hard to find cheese around here.
This one picture of it, let me know if you can see this. It looks like one of those pimple popper videos.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, it does.
Oh,
There you go. Yep. And literally, dude, I smelled it and I was like, "Oh, I'm already losing my appetite." And I was like, "All right, you're here. You got to try it." I bit into it and I was just like, "Nope."
Only 11 and a
not
half
having it.
RMB for 4 of them.
Ugh,
What a deal.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
So why do people eat these?
I don't know. I really
Okay.
don't know. And that's the funny thing though, Jared, is just like things you have to be careful in China because as I said, I thought one of them would be popcorn chicken. No idea what the heck it was. Then those, so you have to be careful sometimes too, just with pictures. And the funny thing is,
I love
when I was
this.
at the grocery store, I was going to buy bread. Here is actually fairly cheap, so I was going to get a thing of bread. And I was going to get cheese slices and make like some very easy grilled cheese, right? I'm not a great cook, so that's something I can believe or not do unless I burn the shit out of it. So,
Right.
So I was going to get bread and cheese, right? Well, for 10 slices of cheddar cheese, it was 25 RMB, which comes out to what was it? I don't remember how much it was per slice, but it's unreal. Like you're paying, I think, almost $4 or $5 for 10 slices of cheese.
Yeah, here you can get like a big block of it for like 3.
Right, exactly. So no
But
grilled
it's
cheese
more
is
of
for me.
it's more of like a delicacy, or not delicacy, but it's
It
more
is.
of like a rarity essentially.
Exactly.
They don't do a lot
So
of excuse me. They don't do a lot of like dairy. Do they?
they don't. They don't. But they have a ton of like milk tea places, bubble tea places. And
don't
I went to
Do like cheese though?
No, but not really. I think in Korea though they actually do like tea with cheese in it. Believe it or not, it's some special type of cheese. But I did go to this place. I have the empty thing right here, and I had a really good matcha tea, like frappuccino drink. But the cool thing is, so this place right here, it says dessert, beverage, and ice cream on it. It's kind of hard to see, but dude, they had some crazy looking ice cream. They had one that was like a cotton candy color blue and a cotton candy color pink. I don't know what the flavors were. I'm going to go back and try some of these ice cream cones because it looked
Okay.
amazing. The cones were black, so they're like a black waffle cone, and then they had these bright colors. I know the green one was a matcha tea flavored ice cream. I love matcha, so I'm going to try that one for sure. But they have...
You loved matcha even before you were in China?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a matcha fan for a couple of years.
What are the benefits of matcha? Do you know?
No idea. I
You
just like
how
how
it tastes.
Yeah.
Because I just assume, and maybe I'm just assuming, but it seems like it's good for you for some reason.
I would say though it definitely has an acquired taste to matcha. The first time I had it, I was kind of like, what the heck is this? Didn't really know what to make of it. But then I had, another matcha actually from Starbucks, I think was like a matcha, once again, like a matcha frappuccino or something. But yeah, last thing I want to mention though, and then we can get in to the shout outs. Today was the first day though, Jared, it finally happened. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was finally...
Bathroom disaster.
No bathroom disaster. I'm gonna knock on some wood for that one. No. I was walking. Was in this busier part of town right before I got my matcha tea, and these 3 girls looked at me, and they looked at me kind of funny, and then I was walking, and I see them trying to catch up to me. And so I kind of turn, I
Chad's
smile
used
at
to
them.
this though. This is just normal for him.
If only. But anyways, so what happened though is they stopped me and they said a bunch of stuff to me in Chinese, and I kind of looked at them, and then they held up their phone and they said, picture. And so I said, sure. So
I
I took
no. I'm not sure. I'm not a goddamn zoo
I'm
display.
not a circus. Yeah, I'm not a circus attraction. But so I took 3 individual pictures with these girls. They wanted to
They
do a
wanted
picture with
their
me.
own.
They did. I tried to take a group selfie with them, and then the one that approached me like shooed the other 2 away. She was like, "No,"
That's
like she said all
hilarious.
this stuff in Chinese. The funny thing is, though, Jared, this is, I guess, one observation I have made.
Were they like
When
they
I
were
wa-
like our age?
I think so, maybe a bit younger. I'm terrible
Okay.
at telling age here, but when
Yeah.
I walk around with my shades on, I don't get as much stares. But the moment I take the shades off, and I'm telling you, it's got to be the blue eyes, I get all sorts of stares. And it's really weird because it's weird. When I wear my shades, people will look at me and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a foreigner."
Yeah.
But that's it. When I have the shades off, they'll look at me at first.
and then
and
they'll
then I
like
think
look closely at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So yeah,
Like,
so
is
that
it-
was kind of funny.
So
I should've-
will you purposely wear your sunglasses in times when you really don't
Sometimes,
need
yeah.
to, or like wouldn't put them on otherwise?
I wear them when
Kind
I
of feel
walk
like
around my
Jay Z
apartment
or
com-
something, just wearing your sunglasses around all at
Right.
night or something. I don't know if
Well,
Jay Z does that. That's a bad example,
I
but you know
tend
what I
to
mean.
I tend to wear them around my apartment complex just because there's a lot of older Chinese dudes that chill around and they intimidate the shit out of me. Like they'll just stare at you and they'll just give you this stare and just like the look of, I don't know if it's like discontent or malcontent or what it is, but they'll just stare. And eventually I think what I'm going to start to do is wave at them and say, "Ni hao," because it's like,
I
why
think
not?
you told me about these guys.
Right. I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it finally happened. I was told by a ton of people, "Oh, you'll get stopped for pictures." I was like, you know what? Maybe it's because I'm a guy. Maybe it's because I don't know, but I hadn't gotten stopped.
There was no
But
part of you that
finally
wanted
did.
to say, like, no. Like, what if this keeps coming a thing? When are you going to start saying no? Or
I think-
what you should do is somehow subtly mention the Untranslatable podcast or something.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Or like pass
That
out
is a
like
great idea.
you really should get like stickers or a business card and just pass
we
them
need
out.
to. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
been dropping the ball.
I will do it, but can I send them to you? Is that possible?
Probably. I don't see why it wouldn't
Okay.
be possible.
I don't know what the rules are for sending things to China.
I don't know either, but we'll have to look into it and see. I have to find that out anyways, because my parents want to send me like some cards and stuff. That's a good idea. Honestly, dude, I would tout an Untranslatable podcast shirt all over China. I would wear that shit everywhere.
Even though it's kind of, even though it's an animated version of us, it's clearly you on your shirt.
I wonder if people would pick that up, because some
They'd
people
have to see
aren't
the
that
blue
observant.
eyes.
Right. We'll have to do a special one with the sunglasses on, the China edition. And
I
every
could
time you
easily
take a
make that
picture with
happen.
them, just do this with the shirt. Like, right
I
here on
also-
Translatable Podcast.
I also the other day I isolated our faces, so it's literally just our animated heads. So if you wanted, you could even just get your own head on a shirt.
Oh, that would be that's another level of narcissism right there, but I love it. Oh, that's too funny.
Just cut me
That
out.
is too funny.
And gonna move your head to the middles.
Or no, dude, what we need are 2 T-shirts. One that says untrans, and then the other one says latable.
Oh, we like stand next to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
Or
just
it-
our own faces.
Yeah. On the bottom,
kinda
one of
good.
them would say pod, the other one would say cast.
Oh,
And that-
my god, I
that
love
would be
that.
hilarious. That would be hilarious. But yeah, so it was
could
funny though when that
totally
happened.
make
And
it
I'm not
happen.
gonna lie, I definitely walked into the tea place with a little bit extra pep in my step, a little more mojo after those girls wanted to take pictures with me.
I get that because they were young and probably attractive ladies, but
They were cute, absolutely.
but it's probably gonna get old if it becomes like a thing pretty quickly.
Right.
I would feel
I
like.
mean, I'll
at
be
least
real
for
with
me,
you.
it would.
Right. I'll be real with you. The staring definitely has gotten old already, and I've only been
Yeah,
here,
I
a
can
bit over a
imagine that.
week. I don't mind the little kids. Like I said, the little kids, they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
cute about it. And if you say ni hao, they just flip out. It's hilarious.
I had a little kid in a restaurant in Ludington stare at me and my girlfriend. And I'm like, "You've never seen a black person before? Where do you live?
Right.
Get out
Probably
more, you
Ludington.
little kid." Yeah, that's true. But yeah, and I don't know if I misheard or just I wasn't fully paying attention. But I feel like I heard the mom say, "They're just black people. Stop staring," or something.
Right. Oh, jeez.
But I might
that's
have
funny.
misheard her because I wasn't fully paying attention. I just sort of like, wait, what did you say? But I might have misheard
Right.
her.
Right. Oh, that's funny.
No, but I totally understand that. It does sort of get old, and you do sort of want to be like, what's the big deal? What are you looking at? But obviously,
Right.
you can't do that.
Right. Yeah. And it
gotta
has
take
been it has been a little weird too, like when you look around and like I'm the only Westerner.
Yeah.
Even when I'm on campus once in a while, I think I've run into one or two other Westerners. I ran into I don't know if they were African American or if they were from Africa, but I ran into a couple black people walking home one night, and we all kind of gave each other like a head nod. Once again, this was a different group. This wasn't the other guy I met in my apartment.
you already
This
told
is
me
a different
this.
group. No, it was a different one. So
That's hilarious. If you go to the we always talk. Not, I don't know, you and I, but there's always that sort of thing about the black person head nod here in the U.S. Like black people kind of like give each other a head nod, and
Right.
white people never do that. But if you go to a place where you guys are both the outliers, then you know how it feels to get
Right.
to
Right.
share that little bit of just like, I'm here, we're here,
right,
I see you,
we're doing it.
we
Yeah.
see each
We're
other.
doing it, right. It is weird though, man, to be like I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. To be like a goldfish in a pond filled with bluegill or something. It's a terrible analogy.
Wow.
But
We do untranslatables every episode, and that's the best you can come up with right there.
Slipping on gator piss.
right. Or here, how about being a duck in a chicken coop?
Okay, yeah.
That's a little better. That's a little better. But yeah. But anyways, Jerry, I think it's time we
Spread a little love.
I'm with you.
so I have. Do you have any today?
No. I shouldn't have even said anything. I was gonna say, I don't have anything.
Okay. So I want to give our first shout out to Hampton University. Have you heard about this at all, Jared?
I've heard of Hampton. Shout out to the HBCU in Virginia. Is it Hampton?
I think so.
I think it is. I think it's Hampton, Virginia. Is the city.
What Hampton is doing, Jared, which is amazing, is they are stepping up and helping any Bahamian students who have been negatively affected by Hurricane Dorian. So Hampton University announced on Thursday they would be partnering with the University of Bahamas to allow students who have been displaced by the storm to spend the fall semester on its campus. And there you go, Jared, in Hampton, Virginia, tuition free. And the other cool thing is
amazing.
too, it is amazing, right? The other cool thing about it is that if the students want to stay, they can't stay tuition free, but they can stay. They'll have to pay tuition, but they could stay and continue their education there instead of going back to the Bahamas. But I think it's great. Yeah,
That's huge.
So I think that's really great. And the interesting thing is there are actually quite a few connections between the University of the Bahamas and Hampton. So Rodney
both have a lot
Smith,
of
who's
black
the
people.
president of the University of Bahamas, is actually the former administrative vice president and chief planning officer at Hampton.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but I think it's great. And also just
That's quite a job upgrade, but in
Right.
both position and location.
Oh, for sure. And the other shout out, although this is kind of coming off as a side note, it does not deserve to be a side note. I do want to give a shout out to everyone in the Bahamas who have been negatively affected by the hurricane, who have been displaced, whose homes have been destroyed, and who have lost family members. Jared, I don't know if you know this, but there has been a death toll of about 20 people so far.
Oh,
in the
I didn't
Bahamas.
realize it was. I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So we send all our love, and we really hope that everyone in the Bahamas can get all the help they need quickly.
Spread a little love.
And everything will be better, hopefully, in the near future. My next shout out, Jared, goes out to 7 Amazonian countries who have now come together and signed a pact to protect the world's largest tropical rainforest amid the recent fires that torched thousands of square miles of the jungle. So, I believe it's pronounced Leticia, Colombia, there were 7 Amazonian countries that signed a pact to protect the world's largest tropical forest via disaster response coordination and satellite monitoring amid recent fires. So the presidents of Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, Peru, the vice president of, I believe it's Suriname, and the national resource minister of Guyana attended the one-day summit in the jungle city of Leticia in southern Colombia. And also, the Brazilian president, Bolsonaro, participated via video conference, while his foreign minister, Ernesto Araujo, attended in person. So I think this is great, and I really hope that this will protect the rainforest in the near future from any devastating fires or any other problems.
Yeah, and I'm also a big fan of these like multinational sort of pact.
Oh, absolutely.
To protect various environmental situations, because I think it's great when singular countries want to do initiatives like that, but it's also nice to have other parties and to hold you accountable and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. Well, Jared, do you happen to know what time it is? I know it's early over there, but maybe you got the right time.
But I think with the time difference, it works out.
I think so too, Jared. All right, well, how about I get us... How about I get us started, Jared? I have
with some untranslatables, by the way. That was the untranslatable owl.
Oh, that was the untranslatable owl. And for those of you who don't know, but you should know by now, untranslatables are idioms, axioms, phrases, words that don't smoothly and easily usually translate in English in a literal sense. But do not fret, do not worry. We are here to decipher them for your listening pleasure.
You betcha.
I'll get you started, Jared, with a Chinese Chengyu, which is a 4-character untranslatable phrase in Chinese. And this one is, let me see here. I have to make sure I get the tones right because then it could be a different word. So here we go. Yi Qiao Butong, which means the 7 orifices are not linked up. Or the 7 orifices, sorry, I can't talk today, not linked up.
It's like you essentially mean like you feel sick, like you're feeling off. Your body's not in sync. No.
I wouldn't say it's related to your body specifically, but you're getting warmer.
Huh. Okay, wait, could you give me the literal again?
Yeah. The 7 orifices
are
not linked up.
Okay. Not linked up. It's like you and I aren't seeing eye to eye.
I would say this is
aren't
more...
linked.
I would say this is more related to just one person.
Oh, okay. I don't know, man. I'm struggling here. These are great untranslatables.
Aren't they? Well, we have 2 of them, Jared, in English that you could use for this. One of them has to do with Greece or Greek.
It's all Greek to me.
There's one. The other one,
Greece.
which I think is a bit more British English, but I've heard my mom say this before.
You
is
greasy bastard.
To not know one's arse from one's elbow.
Oh, okay. I could totally imagine your mom saying that.
Oh, yeah. She says ass, not arse, but yeah.
Well,
yeah.
wait, what does that have to do with, elbow grease? Is that what you were getting at?
No. Greece like the country. It's all Greek. Greece.
Greek.
Yeah, that's why I said that. But yeah, so this
we
basically...
said one's Greece and then Greek. So I thought you meant Greece like...
No, I messed
oil
up.
Greece kind of...
No. I meant Greece the country. That's my bad, Jared.
Okay.
But yeah, so this one is basically like when you are very ignorant about something or to be like kind of way out of your skill level.
Yes. Okay.
So there you go. Mm-hmm.
My first one is Japanese, and it's Hopeta ga ochiru, and it's my cheeks are falling off.
Ooh, okay. That one is very visual. I like that one. My cheeks are falling. Is it like you're laughing super hard?
No, but that's great. That's great. Actually, technically, it's cheeks are falling off, but the "my" is implied to be
cheeks.
Clear.
Okay, cheeks are falling off. And it has nothing to do with smiling either.
No, but
no.
If you want, I can give you a clue. There is an
please.
English untranslatable, specifically from the South, that is that you might know. That is
finger licking good.
No.
Slip on gator piss?
Well, hold on. but when you said finger looking good, no.
Okay.
Oh wait, yeah, I guess that is it. It means the food is delicious. I guess that is finger looking good.
Yeah, finger
that's
licking
just
good.
That just threw me off because that's not the untranslatable I was thinking of.
Put your foot in it. That's the one you were thinking of.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So you were right. I just this was not where my head was at. at the moment.
Clearly, you can see I'm still thinking about KFC after those last couple days. But yeah, all right. I have another
Is
Chinese
that a
one for you.
KFC thing? Finger looking good.
That's literally their slogan, buddy.
Oh, I didn't know I didn't know that was theirs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you watch any of their commercials, the end of it, the Colonel's always like finger licking good.
I have ad
what he always
blocker
says.
on YouTube, and I never watch TV, so
Good.
I
good
avoid
call.
all commercials.
I don't blame you. I've probably shaved off at least a year of my life with all these commercials and stuff. I need to really get ad blocker. Anyways, my Chinese one for you is Ziyou Zizai, which means free, lacking restrictions.
It's just like no responsibilities.
I'll give that one to you. Means like carefree. Easygoing, carefree.
Okay. Is it more like a personality thing? Like, oh, this person's like
Exactly. Peaceful,
Okay.
relaxed, carefree.
okay. I used to think I was carefree. I'm coming to realize that I'm actually pretty loud, and I get worked up easily.
Right.
But I never get like angry. Let's just be clear. Anyway. My next one is Wolof, WOLOF, and when
Where do they speak that?
I was just about to say, when I got this untranslatable, I knew the answer to that, but that was a couple days ago, and now I don't remember. It's an African language, spoken in Niger, and spoken in Niger, Congo, and I think Senegal, so a few African countries in that area. And the phrase is Aduna Jixna. And it means the world is finished.
Is this just a bleak outlook and or is this just like everything's done? We're good, everything's done.
No. It's deeper than that. It's not It's not so cynical.
Can you give me a clue?
So maybe say our untranslatable podcast Ferrari got repoed and repossessed, and I was really bummed, and I was like, oh, life, Chad, how could this happen? Now my life will never be right again. And you would say, the world is finished, Jared. The world is finished. And I was like, I need this Ferrari.
Is it like, get over it? Everything will be okay?
Yes, but I'm not going to give that to you.
Okay.
I'm not going to give it to you, though, because it's a little more, I would say, not spiritual, but it's a little more like philosophical than that. It's essentially material reality is less important than our spiritual lives.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that one. That's a good one,
No, but
though.
you were like on the right path with what but I was like, there's no way I can guide you towards that.
Right. You're not my spiritual guide today, Jared.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Listen, I'm in podcaster mode right now, not in guru mode.
That's fair. I don't blame you. Well, Jared, in lieu of our awesome French song that we'll be discussing later, I decided I'd drop a French untranslatable on you today. Because it's just too easy to always do Chinese ones. So sometimes you got to change it up. You need
for
some
sure.
variety. So I'm going to try my best to pronounce this properly. I'll probably butcher it, but here we go. Tomber dans les pommes.
Wait.
Do you know what that means?
Say it again. Sorry.
Tomber. I don't know. I think it's tomber. Dans.
Tomber.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Tomber dans la pomme.
In the apple?
Uh-huh. To fall in apples.
Okay. See?
Fall
Look
in
at that.
apples.
All I'm saying. I might not have gotten all of it, but I did get in apples.
Right?
Even I'm impressed with myself. To fall into apples?
I have too. That's very good. Yeah, to fall into apples.
It means to just like end up in a situation and you have no idea how you got there.
Well, I would say that would be the aftermath of after you fell in the apples.
You just got into a sticky situation.
Nope.
You
It's very specific. So,
To
Jared,
fall in-
maybe
someone gets you mad. Someone insults you,
Nope.
and then
Nope.
you like turn on them or something.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
I'm falling into apples now.
I hope you're not, because
How about them apples?
that would that would make it difficult to record this podcast. So let me give you an example, Jared. So say one of our listeners out here is a recent college grad and they're trying to find a job really hard, and then they get their first statement to pay back their student loans, and it freaks them out so much they fall in apples.
Is it like to get depressed?
I fell in apples last time I got my blood drawn in the States.
Oh, to have a panic attack. Oh,
No. What happens? Okay, so say you have a
pass
really.
out.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, yes.
To faint or to go
Parada.
unconscious is to
Okay,
fall
okay.
in apples in French.
You passed out last time you gave blood?
Yep. In the States, I had to give blood here. It was fine. But in the States, yeah. It was funny. The lady drew my blood and she's like, you feeling all right? And I was like, honestly, nope. And then I lost my vision, lost my hearing for a minute, woke up and I was like in cold sweats. Oh, it was bad. But
Is that the
thankfully we're
first time
okay, so.
that ever happened to you?
Yeah. Yep.
So you never like you weren't going into giving blood being like, let's see how this goes. You're just like, I'm just gonna like, I don't like it, but I can do it.
Right. Exactly.
And then you're like,
exactly.
oh shit, this feels weird.
Yeah. Well, I've passed out before, but never from a blood draw. And
Okay.
So yeah. But anyways,
Okay, we don't worry about it.
yeah, it doesn't really matter.
My last one is Indonesian, and it's Tidak enak badan, and it means the body is not delicious.
Also, can I just say I love how much confidence you said that untranslatable with? That
Thank
was
you.
great. Straight
Thank you.
fire.
Yeah, it felt like I knew what I was doing there, didn't it?
It did. Let's see here. The body is not delicious or does not taste delicious.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with this one. Body does not taste delicious.
So
Is it like things? I have no idea. Give me a clue.
You, me, 1 year, maybe 2012 it was, or maybe it was 2013. Probably 2012. We were in Austria. Well, yeah, I don't know. One of those
2012.
years. You, me, and Chris shared New Year's. I shouldn't have used his full name.
That would have been 2013.
I might have to
think.
go back and we'll see, depending on how much. Anyway, the three of us went.
Oh, jeez.
We spent New Year's together, and we were in a taxi, and I looked over at Chris and I said, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And he was trying to stay cool, and he said, "The body is not delicious."
Oh, everything's gonna be fine. Is that what that means?
No, I mean it's the condition.
I'm going
of,
to be sick. I'm nauseous.
well, no, it's
No.
more specific than that. It is, yes, that's part of it.
I'm gonna
But that's
hurl.
only the beginning part of it. No. It's when you're not feeling well, but you do not want to say that you're sick. So like you don't want to essentially admit
Okay.
that you're not
okay.
feeling well. Or like say
Okay.
if you have some sort of like say if you're in China, a great example would be is like you're out with people and you go to dinner somewhere and you realize that something didn't agree with you and you're like the body is not delicious. When really you
Right.
don't want to say, I need to find a Western style bathroom ASAP.
Yeah.
Has that been have you been, not an issue, but have you noticed like public bathrooms that are not Western style? What would you call them? Eastern
most
style?
Most of them are squat toilets.
Even at like KFC or something like that?
I haven't gone. I would assume KFC probably not. Thankfully, I haven't really had to use the bathroom too much outside of my apartment. So life is
So you
good
just
so far.
avoid using the bathroom outside of your apartment. Well,
D-
what
d-
about at the university?
Actually, I haven't used the restroom once there yet either.
How does that happen?
I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I don't know what to
You've
tell
been
you.
working there for almost 2 weeks or like a week and a half, or a week, I guess, and you've yet to use the bathroom at your job.
Well, I only teach
But I
for
guess you're
2
only there
hours.
for. That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
so I usually
I'm
eat
there
my
for
lunch
at my
here.
job
I go
for
teach
8 to 9 hours a day. So
Right.
it would be odd if
Right.
I never. If,
Oh, I'm sure if it happens, I'll let you know. I'll let you and all of
Okay.
our international listeners know. I'm sure that's just what they
sound
want to hear.
thrilled.
Speaking of things our listeners want to hear, Jared, let's talk about the transition from school to the real world,
Yes.
or to that 9 to 5 life, or whatever.
Yeah, man.
And I want to say, what was the biggest? Jared usually comes with some awesome questions. I've tried to emulate Jared a bit today, and I've got some questions for you, buddy. So the first one I want to ask you is, what was your biggest shock when you finished college and you started working full time?
How quickly you can use coming out of college, you see, or I saw like my first paycheck, and I was like, wow, obviously it was more money than I'd ever made before at my internships and job at a golf course. And you're like, I'm about to be balling. So the first thing you realize is how much it actually costs to live. how quickly monthly payments can sort of add up from.
Oh, for sure.
To first taking stuff out of your paycheck for insurance or 401k, and then just all the sort of stuff you have to pay for every month. But then another thing is just like something I still struggle with, to be honest with you, is just my lack of understanding of so many things, like insurance, for example.
Right.
Like I never fully really understand it, I guess. Like I know when I have it and roughly what it means to have it, but I don't really fully understand all the plans. Or like setting up a 401k, I know how to do it, but I don't. With that, like every time I've done it at sort of various jobs I've had, I've always had help from my parents when I was doing it, just because like a lot of this jargon I feel like I don't understand. It's just the jargon I struggle
Absolutely.
with.
And they don't prepare you usually in high school or college for a lot of that stuff, for sure. I'm just curious though, Jared, if I may ask, did you splurge on anything for your first paycheck or first couple of paychecks? Was there anything that you like really wanted to buy and you were like, you know what, I'm going to treat yourself, and you got something special?
Probably. See, that's
your keyboard?
No, that I bought when in Philadelphia, and that was only like $200.
Okay.
I mean, it's. I'm not saying it's cheap, but I wouldn't call that like a splurge item. If it was a splurge item, I would have got a way nicer keyboard than I did.
That's fair.
Damn, there's got to be something. It's been a while. Oh,
Right.
well, I did have I used to work for a car company back in the day, and I did have a company car, which I guess I didn't really need, but it was a pretty good deal. And
It was sweet.
I've never
It
had
was
like
a sweet ride.
I'd never had like a technology before, so that was kind of a splurge. But also it was kind of because I worked for that company and I did a lot of driving, so there was a little bit of practicality of it.
That was
but
a Chrysler 200, wasn't it?
I definitely got more options than I would have if I was, say, like in a situation where I was going to a dealership or something like that.
Sure. Okay.
So that was probably one of them. I think it was just living more freely. Like I definitely think back then I did more of like trips to Colorado to visit, when my buddy Brad used to live in Colorado, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's easy to sort of get lost in what seems like a lot of money.
Lost in the sauce, you could say.
Yeah. I actually made a point not to say that, but thank you.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well,
No,
that's
I'm
why
just
I'm
kidding.
here, Jared. Can I add something to that? So,
Please.
I was unemployed all summer, as you and our listeners probably know, which was great because I got to spend a lot of time with friends and family. But once I got that first stipend in for my fellowship, I'm not even going to lie to you, Jared. I saw it and I was like, "Ooh, okay, I have some money now." First thing I did, went to elderlyinstruments.com or elderly.com, bought an acoustic guitar, and then
you
I
have a
thought
problem,
about it.
you know that?
I do. So I bought it, and then I thought about it because it was a really cool Martin. I've always wanted a Martin acoustic guitar. They're some of the best of the best. And it was actually a special type of one that I was hoping to bring with me to China. But then I thought about it. I was like, I'm not going to bring a Martin all the way over here. I have these traveler guitars. I'm going to take one because it's much easier, and I'll find a cheap acoustic here. But anyway, so I bought it. I was going to go pick it up. And then I thought, and this was like literally probably 3-4 hours after I'd gotten that first paycheck in. And I just like, don't know what the hell was wrong with me, but I was like, gonna buy a cool acoustic guitar.
Jesus
so
Christ.
Ordered it, and then I had it set for in-store pickup, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need this right now, so I returned it.
Oh,
it was tough, but I returned it.
Good job, Chad.
That's when I started
a very
realizing
adult decision you
exactly,
made there.
exactly. But I think if I'm good with my finances this year, I think I might buy myself a Martin guitar when I come back. Either way.
Sometimes I want to treat myself for stuff like that, but there are a couple things that make me not do it. One, I'm not even a good saver, but I'm a money hoarder. Like I'm a very frugal person by nature, I'd say. So that's one thing. And two, I do tend to. I think I feel a little guilty if I like splurge for myself. And then another thing is I always think, like this could be going towards something that's more fulfilling, like vacation or something like that.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So those are the things that usually go through my head.
Right. I did feel super guilty, which I think is one of the reasons why. Because I just pictured myself coming home and my parents being like, why the hell did you buy another guitar? Like,
and
you don't
be like, well, I wanted it.
Right. Exactly. That's the big transition, though, I think, is going from even high school to college, let alone college to adulthood, is realizing what your wants and your needs are, because...
and where your priorities lie.
Exactly.
I guess that's essentially what you said. But.
Right. Because it'd be one thing if I didn't have any acoustic guitars, but I have a couple I can play, and they're nice guitars, and so I don't really need another one.
Especially now. Like, why now?
Right.
Especially if it's going to be at your home for another 10 months just sitting there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So we talked about sort of my first transition from a little bit, not really. Like my first transition from at least like how I felt. But you had I guess you'd call it soft transition to adulthood, because you kind of had like a half still being in university, but you were also, living on your own. You were getting paid. So you did have half adult, but then you had still like a foot in sort of the college lifestyle, being at
and I was
Michigan
teaching
State
as well. Exactly. So, and I think that's a great way to put it, as a soft transition, or easing into adulthood in a different way. But I will say this, and maybe we should I know we did an episode about grad school, but maybe we need to do another one, because I think there's some stuff we didn't discuss on that episode that we could talk about in the future. And the thing about grad school is that, yes, you are still a student, and there are a lot of perks to that, right? You don't have a stereotypical 9 to 5. There are other things, but there's some benefits
have some of the perks
you lose out on.
College fun times.
Exactly. The funny thing, though, too, I would say my first kind of year of adulthood, I would say, was last year when I was a Fulbright. Even though I've been working, different jobs part-time since I was about 16 years old. But the Fulbright was the first time where I wasn't a student anymore, and I was working, and I was teaching 25 lessons a week for 45 minutes a lesson. I don't know what the math is on that, Jared, but some of the days were long days. And so, but the thing that I kind of realized with that was that it was the first time where I didn't have homework myself. Now, obviously, I was lesson planning and stuff like that, but I think that's kind of a weird transition, though, too, because I always felt like I should have been doing something. I think grad school makes it even worse in a way, because you have 4 more years or 2 more years, however long your grad program is, of more homework. And in grad school, it's a lot of reading and a lot of papers, at least if you're in the field of humanities, like I was. And so that was kind of weird, going from having all these things to read and papers to write to preparing my lesson plans, and then I could more or less go home and be done. And I made it a habit in the Czech Republic to do all my work at school and not do any work at home if I could avoid it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
But it's a freeing feeling, isn't it?
the free feeling of not having homework is great, except for the fact that I still sort of sometimes consider the possibility of going back to grad school later to get my MBA, which is Master's in Business and Association for those that don't know. But the thought of going back to homework and going back to tests and stuff like that really, really, really turns me off. And like, not even turns me off, but I mean, turns me off. Like, who looks forward to that? But like, more, I wonder, can I do it still? Like,
Right.
or it's like, do I have the ability to sit down at a desk for hours and do homework? Because I've gotten so used to just coming home and then having the afternoon, evening to myself.
Right.
And that is a luxury for sure.
Right. Oh, for sure. I think
it's one of the few luxuries of being in the workplace over like college or school or something like that.
Right. I think for you, you're a disciplined enough person. You could definitely do it. It's just a question of, are you willing to give up that freedom?
Yeah.
And now I'm lucky though, because my teaching schedule is fairly light, especially in comparison to last year. Excuse me. But the great thing about it though too, is that it gives me more time to kind of explore and learn more about China, which I'm really looking forward to. Now, I was lucky that in the Czech Republic, I did a lot of my cultural learning in the classroom with the students because I had much smaller classes. We had a lot more discussion-based stuff. And so that allowed me to do that. Whereas here, I'll have to do a lot more of that independently on my own because we just don't have the class time to discuss a lot of these cultural things that I'd like to learn about. But I think the other big transition too, from going from university or college to the workforce or being an adult is using your time in a useful manner, because it's very easy to watch Netflix and sit at home and do nothing. And there are a lot of days where I think, at least for me, there's a great phrase in German, kind of a late untranslatable. I think you might know what this word means, because I think I've explained it to you before. But it's called the innere Schweinehund.
Yes.
The inner pig dog. Do you know what that is?
That's just like a couch potato, essentially, isn't it?
It's more like it's kind of like you have the good angel and the devil conscience on your shoulder.
Right.
And the Schweinehund is that thing saying, "Oh, just hit snooze for 5 more minutes," or get that extra large bag of chips and sit at home and do nothing instead of going to the gym or going for a walk.
Yes.
And so I think as an adult, you have to definitely try to prioritize your time a bit more, and I think you have to habitually do it yourself. Or discipline yourself, depending on how you look at it. Because at college or university or high school even, a lot of times if you're involved in any sports or clubs, you have people that will kind of force you to do these things. But unless you do that as an adult, you lose a lot of that. And so I'm lucky here in China, I have to walk a lot of places to get places. So I've become a huge fan of just walking around quite a bit. And it's amazing how just walking around can really clear your head and can be really good for you.
So I wrote down in my notes here, right in front of me, some things, and what you're talking about relates to one of them very well. I wrote down the top of the page, you're responsible for your own success. I think that's a big difference once you're on your own. There's no longer someone like sort of constantly checking over you to make sure you've completed something or you're doing the right thing or making sure you're not
100%
veering onto the wrong path in life and getting into a whole bunch of trouble. But there are some different aspects of that. And these are some of the ones that I've especially have had challenges with. Now, one of them I mentioned already was realizing all the things I don't understand. Insurance, 401k, various... that's insurance as well. I was going to say car insurance. But it's like car insurance and health insurance.
Right.
But anyway, another one is making friends on your own outside of... That's another thing I think about your soft transition, is you're still in grad school in a situation where, friends are essentially put in front of you. Or the potential to make friends is essentially handed to you. And, I don't want to insult your friend-making ability or anything, but I would imagine it's just as easy to make friends in grad school as it would be in undergrad or high school even?
I would say I would give you another good German word. I would give you a Jein, a yes, a ja, and a nein. Because I would say, one, it really depends on the, like the atmosphere. It's not the atmosphere. It's like the way, the culture of the graduate program.
Because
so,
I was gonna say is the person I refer to the most was my sister, who's now in grad school getting her MBA. But I think the way that at least the MBA getting is set up, it's a lot of teamwork involved in it, and it's also a lot of like homework and stuff that I think they can collaborate on and stuff like that. So I think that's just the nature of their program specifically.
Right. It depends on the culture of the program. I've also heard, though, too, of very competitive programs where grad students don't help each other out because they view each other as their competition.
Is it because everything's on a curve?
I'm not really sure. I was lucky enough to not be involved I was in 2 graduate programs at MSU, Michigan State University, and both of them were great. Felt really close with my colleagues in my cohort, and they were awesome. And and that's why I said Jein, a yes and a no, because the no to make friends would be if you're in a very competitive graduate culture, or even undergrad somewhat, I guess. But I think undergrad it's not quite like that.
At least I didn't really get that sense.
Well, we went to a very different institution, I think, than a lot of people did.
But that's a good point.
But the other thing is, though, too, is in grad school, I think it's easier to make friends in some ways because you're in a even smaller group of like-minded people and you all have the same classes all the time, more or less. Mm-hmm. So that definitely helps. But I think people in undergrad are a bit more outgoing just because it's all new, it's all exciting.
Yeah. It's like going to Paris for the first time and like looking up at the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Exactly.
Ooh, shiny. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true. And in college, there is also the sort of newness of things like alcohol and stuff like that, for most people at least. Right. So the challenge of making friends is definitely something. And then for me in the real world, I'm terrible at making friends just because I don't like to impose on other people's lives, just my presence. And you kind of have to. And I've always said this, that like making friends to me has been harder, I think, than dating, like post college, because it's harder to sort of gauge whether people actually like you. When you're in friend situations, there are less sort of obvious signs that someone likes you when you're in a friend situation. And it almost feels kind of childish in to be like, does this person like me? Am I bothering this person? But I really feel that way sometimes. But you have to sort of actively do it. For example, my girlfriend, she likes to read for some reason, and she recently joined a book club at this coffee shop that's around the corner from us.
Oh, cool! And, good for her.
She was talking about she's not going home for Thanksgiving. She was talking about like hosting a Friendsgiving, and I was like, that's a great idea. I was like, first of all, you've only been to one of these things. How are you so sure that you're gonna be these people are gonna be your friends? She's like, this is how it works. I'm gonna be going to this book club every week, and just the confidence to be able to be like, I'm gonna make friends. That even blows my mind.
She's right. She's
but
right. 100%.
Like an overconfidence. That's just a normal. That's just how friendships work.
Right. I think another difficulty about making friends when you're an adult, especially when you have a full-time job, is you just don't have the time to build those relationships like you do in undergrad and grad school. And so,
well, a lot of people do it through their job, though. That is very popular too.
But that can be dangerous.
Me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't blame
There's
you.
a line there because you don't. And it's even this job that I'm at now. Tends to have more sort of social interaction, like more of a casual social interactions than most of my previous jobs have had, and more sort of like events where there might be drinks. And, they'll give you like 2 drink tickets. It's not like anyone's really getting, ham boned. But even just introduction of alcohol is sort of new to me. And I feel like I want to be a little bit more open to having like more casual friendships with colleagues. But I'm still very... there's still like a sort of a shield up. Even like once or twice, even at this new job, I've casually, unwork related, gotten drinks with some colleagues after work. And it's been, I'm more relaxed than I am at work, and I'll maybe talk a little more casually there than I will at work. But there is sort of like a block up, Like I still don't feel like I'm just like fully just letting loose, like if I were talking to like you or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. I think the other thing though too with work friends is, although you do have some common ground depending on where you work, sometimes you need to get away from that too.
Because work friends often talk about work.
Right.
Because that's what they have in common the most readily.
Exactly. Yeah. Friends are tough, and the other thing is that can be difficult too is maintaining all the friendships that you built in college, especially when people move to different states or different countries. It can be very difficult, and I have to say though, I'm very lucky that my friends, all that I'm still close with, they all understand if I haven't reached out in a while, it's nothing personal. It's just we're doing our own thing, and it's not.
I understand that because I'm the same way.
Right.
Especially since
I need to improve on that.
Yeah. I don't think it's a great way to go about life, because I do think there's something to actively keeping in touch with people. I think just the very action when you don't have to sort of is a nice gesture just to
absolutely
show your friends that you do care.
Right.
All right, let's move on to something else that I have written down that is in the category of you're responsible for your own success. Finding, let me start with this one. Do you have any mentors? I feel like I've asked you this before.
I don't, and I should, but I don't.
I'm the same way, and I think it seems like it does seem like a foolish way to go about life, especially at least personally being in like the corporate world, and making sort of introductory relationships with a lot of pretty like high up people, but never really like following up or never really doing anything else other than like nodding or saying morning when I pass them in the office or something like that.
Right. It's not quite a mentor. Yeah.
Right. But it does take, like, usually for, at least from what I've heard a lot, if someone wants to find a mentor, it's not up for the mentor to find their mentee. It's up for the mentee
needs to
make
them.
that step.
Absolutely.
Because it is at the very least going to be some sort of like it is a sacrifice on some level, whether it's just time or what, for the mentor. So that's something that I think is an important part of progressing professionally, I would say.
Absolutely.
Find passions and hobbies. I think it's important. I think it's easy not to really have passions or hobbies in college, or not really be aware of that stuff, because you're just surrounded by fun and activities already. Especially if you're like us and you're in the Greek system, like there's some sort of activity going on every weekend. And forget the Greek system. If you're at a tiny school like ours, there's some sort of activity that someone could go to, whether it's a party to some sort of more organized activity, just about every weekend.
I'd say the opportunities are even more vast in at a large college or university.
Yeah,
too.
Of course. Yeah, that would make sense.
But I would agree with you. I mean, for me, the funny thing is I think I read more now out of grad school than I did when I was in grad school, and I had to read a lot.
Interesting. I feel like I read more in college because I had more time in college. Because even though I had homework and stuff, like I didn't have class all day, you know?
Right. We spent a lot of time goofing around, you and I. But
yeah.
But yeah,
I don't have time to read. I got to goof around at 6.
That's right. That's right. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah. Where was I going with that?
Read more now outside of grad school.
Oh yeah, with the passions and hobbies. Yeah, I think the other thing is too is that a lot of people, I feel view once they graduate from like college or even high school, they're like, okay, did my schoolwork, I'm done learning. It's like, that's not how life works.
That's how I'm
a firm believer everybody should be, right. I'm a firm believer that everybody should be a lifelong learner. You can always improve on things. Sure. You can always learn new things. One thing that I kind of took up a little bit, and it was more out of necessity than really a hobby, but I had a couple issues at my apartment in East Lansing with some of the plumbing and the sinks. And so I figured out how to repair a toilet. I figured out how to repair a sink. Just some really basic stuff. But
it's interesting. Once I'm not good at that stuff, but that's a very good point you make. Starting to not rely on, especially now, and this is actually starting to kick in a lot for me now because I've always lived in apartments that had pretty well set up connections or like systems to report things to the whoever owned the place. And so if there was ever any sort of problem, I mean, I'm not paying for it. I rent an apartment. I'm just gonna tell the person and have them send someone to fix it. Even just because it's not my, why would I spend money on something that I'm paying? Part of the rent is to not have to do that. But
exactly,
I think there's still that level. I still have that system. I live in a house now. I rent it. So there is still that level of system because I'm renting it, and so like I'm still not really responsible for repairs. But I think there's for something about being in a house, there is one step sort of more removal from the calling the repair person step. I think I'm a little quicker to try to figure it out myself and maybe invest. I don't know. I'm just making up a number, but say the investment is going to be less than $100. I'm just making up a number. Right. It's never come to this amount of money yet, so I don't really know. But like, I think I'm quicker to try to fix something myself in this house rather than when I lived in like an apartment or something. I don't know. I think it's just the feeling of being in a house sort of like makes it feel like it's a little bit more your responsibility or something.
Absolutely. Well, and the other thing is too, if it's an easy enough thing for you to fix yourself, I would guess it's probably going to be under $50.
Yeah. I mean, the most I've had to do a couple repairs, when I first got here, and the most was probably like $13.
Right. And we're very fortunate nowadays because you can that's how I figured out most of the stuff that I learned was just via YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's free,
yes.
It's easy.
Yes.
But I think that's another thing where it's kind of, to me, a sign of you also maturing quite a bit when you're able to fix a lot of these things and not depend on somebody else. I think in the States especially, people pride themselves on being self-sufficient to some degree, and I think it is definitely something worth being proud of. If you can fix things yourself, figure things out yourself, or even with the help of others. Going on YouTube, you're not bothering anybody. You don't have to pay anybody. The only thing you, in theory, lose is your own time. But I think that's worth investing time in if you can figure out how to do some of these things.
And a lot of people don't understand stuff like toilets or drains, like plumbing, like that. Me probably being one of those people, but it's also a very like toilets are a very simple system to make it work.
For sure.
And it's like it's almost like a what do you call a Rube Goldberg machine or something? You're like one of those things where it's like you like lift this and that like lever that then pulls this thing and pulls water out, and then when you drop it back after this little weight goes,
it
this
shuts the clamp.
It's just all very very simple stuff. So
it's super simple.
If you do take like the least amount of time to try to figure something out, then you probably could do it. I've been in a few situations, most of them probably plumbing related, where there's like some issue. You call the person and they're in and out of your house within 5 minutes. And it's like, that's just embarrassing. Sure. That you always feel like a real loser when something like that happens.
Right.
Like, yes, I can't do anything. I'm an idiot. Right. Speaking of finding your passions and hobbies, though, that's when I started playing piano. I think it's important. You have that time, and you don't want to just, as you mentioned, you don't want to just sit there and let the time go by because you're not used to that free time. Find, active activities to sort of get that, activate your brain. Did you experience a quarter life crisis? Because I think I might have. Will you explain what a quarter life crisis is first?
Isn't it essentially a midlife crisis that happens 25 years earlier?
There you go. A quarter of, yeah, okay.
I guess for me, the quarter
sort of like
life
an identity crisis, just
for sure.
For people that are not native English speakers.
Right. Some people, when they have a midlife crisis, they maybe buy a
Like-
crazy sports car, or
Yeah,
they'll-
like kids just left the house and they're settled in their career and they need some sort of identity, so they get a Corvette.
Well, I will say this though. I mean, I was 25 when I was in grad school, and there were plenty of days where I was like, am I doing the right thing here? I think it paid
Yes.
off okay now, but there were definitely some days where I was like, is this really what I want to do? Should I be doing this? But I think another problem with grad school is, and I think this is a problem in a lot of different industries, is that people have severe imposter syndrome, where you think,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not good enough, I'm not smart enough. Why am I
Oh,
here?
yeah.
And I had some of those days in grad school, but I don't think any of it was like a quarter. Like, it's not like I quit and then just like started busking on the streets, you know.
But no,
but yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna move to Seattle and
Start
open
a
a farm
grunge
or
band.
something.
right.
Opening my own coffee shop. I think, and this is why I was kind of hoping you didn't mention the kind of car I drove, because I'm going to mention that I hated my first job. But now I'll just
Okay.
make it clear. I would have just left it at that if you hadn't mentioned that. But now I'll make it more clear. It really had nothing to do with the company. It was really all about just not really knowing what I wanted to do. You know, in college, you just sort of choose a major, and I was in finance, and then I just want to make it clear, I had nothing to do with the job. And if I find myself applying for a job there later, I very much appreciate the company. It's a great company. Anyway, a lot of people, especially in the American college system, are sort of just told sometime within, these 4 years, within like the first 2 years of college, you kind of got to have it figured out what it is you want to do, because you got to set that major in. And I'm just like, finance? I don't know. Like, I know I want to do something around cars and in the business field, but I don't know. And so, so I definitely experienced that quarter life crisis. In that first job, realizing it's not really what I want to do. Do I just sort of stick it at, like, is this what working is? You just sort of like better hope you have a good personal life, because part of working is just hating going to work every day. And then
For
I
some
realized,
people it is.
you don't have to hate to go to work every day.
Right.
Because then after that, since that first job, I haven't hated going to work every day. But I did think that just sort of like, it was a crisis about what does it mean to work? What does it mean to have a job? And is it possible to have a job that you also enjoy and all that stuff? Because like I did just sort of show up and leave and not really have that much interest in what I was doing, or
That makes it tough.
or just like the field I was in.
Right.
And it really did make it tough. And I definitely had a quarter life crisis there. I think it definitely, like, the sort of lack of caring about my field and job, I think sort of affected me emotionally, like personal, outside of the job too.
Sure.
And I think that would definitely be considered a quarter life. I don't think I went around being like, guys, I can't even. Adulting is so hard. But it was like, I guess so this is what life is going to be for the next 40 years. Okay, this is cool.
I would say the biggest thing, though, too, when you have that transition, regardless of if you like your job or not, I think is to give yourself time to get adjusted to everything, because it's a big change. It's a lifestyle change. You might be moving to a different town or city. You're meeting all these new people. And for me, I have to constantly remind myself with that here, because I mean, moving to China is a big transition, especially when you've never been to China before. And I have to constantly remind myself kind of the same thing is, give it time. It will take some time. And I think it's the same when you go from college to working in the real world, having a career, starting your career.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. I've probably asked you this before, but this is very fitting for this episode. Do you ever compare your success or lack thereof against previous classmates via Facebook or whatever? Or gossip, since apparently you're a gossip now, I've learned, since hanging out with more of your high school friends.
Only with my high school. But I don't know if you realize this, but most of the gossip, at least I'm more curious about, I hope they're doing well.
Okay.
So I don't know if I would call that. I guess it's kind of gossip. Anyways, that's unrelated.
Well, but maybe it sounded like gossip to me because most of the people you seem to ask about didn't seem like they were doing that well.
Fair enough. Anyways, plead the fifth on that one there, Jared. Anyways, I would say that I don't really compare myself to them just because I'm probably doing very different things than they are. And I think success is incredibly relative to however you define it. And for me, to be honest, I probably could have done something different in life and probably be financially better off than I am right now. But I wouldn't have lived in the Czech Republic for a year, wouldn't be able to spend time here in China. Probably wouldn't be doing this podcast with you, which has been a great thing as well. And so I think it's hard to say that the thing that I will occasionally do though is go on Facebook and people who I was close with in the past, I'll look them up even if we've grown apart just to make sure like, okay, seems like they're doing okay. But then again, social media is incredibly flawed because people tend to only show the good. So it's really hard to tell. But yeah, I
do that sometimes too.
Right. But I think it's a waste of time more or less to compare your success or lack thereof with your colleagues or your peers from high school or college or grad school.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I just don't think it's constructive.
There's nothing healthy about that.
Right. I will say this though. I reached out to quite a few of my friends.
Just to be clear.
That doesn't surprise me, Jared. I reached out to some of this. This was really cool though. I reached out to some of my German grad friends because I couldn't take this German teaching gig at a college in Michigan because I had already signed my contract and was coming to China. Had I have not done that, I definitely would have taken the job. But it felt really good to reach out to them. One, just to reconnect and say, I hope you're doing well. But two, to be like, I would be happy to recommend you for this position if you want to do it. And that felt really good.
Yeah.
And I think one of my colleagues from grad school took the job. I need to reach out to her and find out. But I'm pretty sure she did. And so it's really cool when you can also help your peers succeed.
Yes. That's something I think that's great. I think I don't even think as myself as someone that's in a position that could do something like that. But I mean, I've been in the working field for a while, and most of that stuff that is mostly just saying that like this person does not suck to be around, essentially.
Right. I can tolerate them for more than a couple hours per day. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. All right. That's all I got. That was great. I think it's important to sort of assess where every now and again, like, get a little introspective with oneself and assess where they are and if like life is going how you would like it to, and if it's not, there are changes that can be made. That's my self-help tip of the day.
Absolutely. And I think adding on to that, Jared, not only can you change things, but don't be afraid to reach out to those friends, colleagues, previous mentors you had in college or grad school. And
I struggled with that when I got laid off.
I do too. But you did reach out to people, right? And didn't it help you or did it not?
Yeah, no, it helped. But it was like I had to have like friends and parents remind me like, hey, did you reach out to blah blah blah, like 5 times? I'm like, no, not yet. I'll do it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely helps.
It is important, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope everybody though out there has a smooth transition, whether it's from college to the real world or from one job to another. We wish you the best of luck, and if you need any other tips or tricks, let us know on translatablepodcast@gmail.com. Next up, though, Jared, I think it's time to talk about our song today that is very très bien, as they say in French,
oui.
Called, it's by, I believe you pronounce it, is it Oxmo? How do you pronounce it? You're the francophone here, not me.
I don't think that's French.
Probably
I don't
not,
think that's a French
stage
word.
name. No.
Right.
And the song is Droit de chanter, which means it means right to sing, I believe. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I found that interesting because droit is also like gauche is left and droit is like left and right. It's interesting that that it's the same, that they use the same word for like your right, as in like your freedom to do something.
Do they?
That's the song's called "The Right to Sing."
Well, right to sing. Right. So
Oh, you
I
mean
wonder,
turn right to sing?
I don't know. Is it a play
Oh,
on
I
words?
took it as like you're
I don't
right
speak
to
enough
sing.
French. I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
either. Regardless, though, we'll never know.
It's a great song. Right.
It is a great song. I love this song. I mean, he's a hip hop rapper, and it's very chill. Like, it's not chill. It's not like a chill rap song, but it's just very smooth. And
I'd
he's
say it's a bit laid back, maybe.
yes,
No?
yes, and the beat is great. And not only is the beat great, but he kind of almost in a Ravi Katapa sort of way fucks with you with the beat. Because
What do you mean?
In like the it's similar to Ravi's song where, you know, it sort of kept feeling like, I don't remember what the name of the song was called. It was a while ago. But you kept feeling like you were about to hit sort of like, you know, well, in his song, you sort of kept feeling like you were about to hit a sort of like some sort of crescendo in it, and it was going to keep raising, but then it would die off, and you would sort of not get that satisfaction that you were looking for in the song, usually that you'd find in more traditional sort of music writing. And that was sort of like the point of it. It sort of built that suspense. This song doesn't do that, but in the last 15 seconds of the song, like the beat drops, and it gets really good, but as it drops, you start getting into it, then the song's over.
Right. It's like,
And it's
oh,
such
really?
a
Come on.
tease. It's such a tease because it gets so
Right.
good at the end. The beat, oh, I love that part at the end. And it's just like, oh, no, it's over. And it's like, I wanted more of that.
Right. Right.
But I love
wonder,
it. I really love it.
I wonder though if that continues on the next track of the album.
Oh, interesting.
I wonder. I don't
that's
know.
A good, it might
I don't
might
know.
not. But that is a good
That's a
guess.
trick that some artists use, right? But
yes,
yeah, what
and
drew
I'm a
me
big
to
fan
the song,
of albums that do that, like the continuous sort of
too.
albums.
Me too. The first album I think that I ever listened to where it did that was Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, and that is
makes
definitely
sense.
one where it's
Mine-
weird if I listen to it on shuffle, I can't do it. Like it has to be.
Oh, I
yeah,
understand
start
that
to finish.
feeling.
Yeah.
Most albums I listen to and like in order now, even ones that aren't continuous. My first one was actually probably mixtape, either by Big Sean or Wiz Khalifa, one of those two.
There you go. There you
And it
go.
was because mixtapes, like rap mixtapes, are usually continuous like that too.
Right. That's true. Even Swimming by Mac Miller. That's another one where I love to listen to it start to finish.
Is that a lot of his albums? He's done a lot of mixtapes because he's had a lot
Right.
of ones that are like
Right.
continuous like that too.
But my last comment on this song, though, Jared, is what really made me gravitate towards it was this guy's voice. I mean, he has such a nice
Yes.
sounding voice, and with
Deep
the French, it
voice.
sounds so awesome. Yeah, it's like you said, it's smooth. It's great. I wish I
It
understood
sounds very
more of the
effortless.
lyrics.
His rapping sounds very effortless.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
great song, and there's
That's
some
a great
like
choice,
guitar
Chad.
in there. Thank you. Yeah, it's. I wanted something in French. I don't know why, but I had the French untranslatable.
Yeah.
The French song. I can tell you why. It's because my students here at the university, they're required to learn 2 foreign languages, and the 2 main ones are Japanese or French.
Interesting.
So I think that's why. Yeah.
I mean, I guess
And
Japanese
all-
makes sense. It's a very
Right.
close, large market, relatively close. But like French is an odd one because it seems like Spanish, if you were to choose, would be more useful than French.
or
Well,
German
French is pretty
for
useful.
business.
No, that's
I'd
true.
say though German if you're doing business, but
That's a good point.
These are English majors, so maybe it's for literature. Oh, well,
Well,
I
I mean, there's
think
a lot of good
I
literature in a lot of languages.
that's true. But they say at least my buddy, his mom was fluent in a couple languages, and she would tell me German is the language of business, even though that's not 100% true because there's a lot of great
I'd say
poetry in
it's
German.
more Chinese as a language
Right
of business
nowadays,
these
but
days.
she would say German is what she would always say was German is the language of business, French is a language of literature. Oh, and what did she say for Spanish? Spanish was her
Music.
native tongue. Maybe, probably, could be, but
Okay.
but yeah, and so I think that's why I had my was looking for something in French. A lot of the students, it's funny though, they complain about how difficult French is. which I agree, but it is definitely pretty language. So check that out.
Yes.
Droit de Chanter by, I believe it's Oxmo, I think is how you pronounce it. That's my American pronunciation. Oxmo, maybe? I have no idea.
Go to our YouTube Song of the Pod playlist and just click on it there and then copy and paste
That's right.
it. And
That's right. Untranslatable
Take that.
podcast on YouTube, everybody. So,
Yes.
Jared,
You
it is
betcha.
time for me to give you a new Chinese word of the pod, and it is Chengren, which means adult. I figured that would be an appropriate one for today.
Yeah. My Spanish word is crisis de la mediana edad.
Say that one more time.
Crisis de la mediana edad.
What does that mean?
Or crisis de la mediana edad. How would you say crisis in
midlife
Spanish?
crisis?
Yes, there you go.
I don't. How's it spelled? Like crisis?
It's spelled crisis, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a good question. No,
the
no
main
say.
reason I said crisis was just so it wouldn't be as obvious. I don't actually know
Right.
if that's how you pronounce it.
I'm
I
not
was
sure
just hoping
either.
It was.
I'm not sure. That's a great question.
Yeah,
Well,
I
Jared,
wanted to do quarter life crisis, but I think that's just like a slang term. I think I don't know
Right.
if that's a actual phrase.
So I have a
in
couple
other
corny
languages.
dad jokes for you because a big transition for a lot of people after college could be becoming a parent as well. Plus, I couldn't find any good adulting jokes. So here are a couple dad jokes for you. Why did the man at the calendar factory lose his job?
I don't know. Why's that?
Because he took a couple days off.
Oh, were you
Nothing.
looking for some response from me? I gave you something. I gave you a rim shot.
I was. So Jared, how do
That
you
was
make holy,
Oh, go ahead.
how do you make holy water?
I don't know.
You boil the hell out of it.
That's kind of good.
All right, my last cheesy dad joke for you, Jared, is this is more of a one-liner. Two guys walk into a bar, the third one ducks.
See, the one I used to always know, and actually the first person I think I might have heard this joke from was Mick, as we've talked about a few times. One of my first friends at untranslatable school, at my international school.
We should start a school,
Germany.
Jared.
I know that sounds awesome, doesn't it?
Right?
He used to always say, a guy walks into a bar and says, "Ouch."
Oh, yep. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Jared, I'm going to steal your quote today because I loved it and it's fantastic. I hope I get it right. We'll see how good my memory and my listening skills are. But I think when you transition from college or high school to the real world, success is your own responsibility.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I said you're responsible for your own success, but I think I'll give it to you.
Okay. All right, I'll take it. But
Yes.
yeah, I think it's really important. And I think the other thing is that's really the time when you do realize, like, I'm really responsible right now. If I want to eat birthday cake for breakfast, I can. I probably shouldn't, but I can. If I want to stay up till 2 a.m. watching Netflix, I can. I probably shouldn't, but I can, right? If I want to be good with my finances, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. If I want to splurge buy a guitar, I can.
I can. But I'm trying not to, Jared. I'm trying not to, that's for sure. Need to join a group, Guitar Addicts Anonymous, let me tell you.
I'm Chad and I have a problem.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, so remember, people, success is your own responsibility. So keep that
You betcha.
in mind when you're making that transition. We hope we can help you out. If you have any questions related to your transition, let us know at untranslatable@gmail.com. Or you can check out our Instagram for all sorts of clips and other fun photos, Untranslatable Podcast. Check out our YouTube channel for our poppin' songs of the pod, also Untranslatable Podcast. Nice and easy to remember. And lastly, if you want to see some of Jared's wit and humor, or just find some episodes, you can check us out on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. And the last thing I would like to ask for all of you is 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher.
Spread a little love.
Let us know what we can do to make this podcast even better for you. We would really appreciate any feedback. We want to thank you all for your support throughout our podcasting journey. It really means a lot to us. And as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Děkujeme, muchas gracias, and share.